Hey, what's up you guys, this is DylanDistorted, and today we're going to be going over the subreddit r/NuclearRevenge. I just heard about this subreddit, and it's bound to be explosive. Let's hop right into this. I destroyed a girl's chances of becoming a professional musician. This story isn't as extreme as the other posts, but it's still way too bad to be petty. I'm the socially awkward, way too polite, and pushover kid in real life, especially in school. Because of this behavior, I get bullied and harassed a lot. Sometime in October of 2018, I literally had to take 6 weeks off school because my mental state couldn't handle it anymore and my parents had to pull me out for a little while. Even when I got back and the teachers promised me that the proper punishments had been issued and I would have no more problems in school, well, of course they were bullshitting. The only reason they bothered to tell me this is because my mother works in social care. She deals with abused children and broken families all the time. She also has direct contact with the Minister of Education in my country, so when she threatened to call him up, the school knew they had to do something. Yet they still did nothing more than a slap on the wrist to the people who have both physically and mentally harassed me to the point where I felt uncomfortable being in the same building as them. There's this one girl who is one of the main sources of this harassment, FB, or fucking bitch. She's a music student and her parents are extremely proud of her talents in piano and violin. This is important for later. I'm a music technology student, which, if you didn't know, is basically the technical side to all the songs and media you hear nowadays. How does singer A sound so good? Usually music technology is involved. Both these subjects are taught at the same time and they're both in the music block of my school. Unfortunately, FB is in music the same times I'm in music technology, and our classrooms are right next to each other. About a week ago, FB came into my classroom whilst we were busy getting our final projects done. These projects are worth 70% of the overall mark/grade in music technology, so you have to do good in them or you're not going to pass. My computer is the closest to the door, so I'm the first one to see FB come in. Since we are a trusted class and there's only about 7 of us, the teacher usually goes off on an errand or helps out with another class while leaving us to work. FB turns to me and asks where the teacher is. The teacher was off covering another class that period and came in every 15 minutes or so to check that we weren't messing about. I tell FB that she's not here and FB scoffs and rolls her eyes at me, like it was my fault the teacher wasn't there. But I'm too socially awkward and anxious to do anything, so I just turn back to my work. FB clearly doesn't like the no reaction from me and tugs on the cord of my headphone. Guess what? It snaps. The wire pulls off and the force causes the pretty bulky headphone to pull across my face and cut me on the temple. It wasn't a deep cut and there was a smudge of blood in it. It still stung like fuck. That's it. I decided I'm not taking her bullshit anymore. Skip to Thursday, 2 days later. 2 important pieces of information. This specific Thursday, FB has a practical exam on music, and she has to play 3 pieces on both piano and violin. And on Thursdays, the music block lets any students who want to finish or practice stuff to go there for the lunch hour. I go there most days if the library is closed. I had spent the past 2 nights plotting my devious plan, and now I had it ready. FB doesn't come to the music block at all outside of class time, but she leaves her school bag, along with many others, in the cavern, a small room where they keep spare instruments and spare parts. I head to the cavern and make sure nobody is watching before unzipping her school bag and taking out all of the music sheets from her bag. I also take her water bottle and destroy the sheets. So wet, it's impossible to hold them up straight. I tear them into soaking shreds and hide them behind the instrument cage, but it doesn't end there. Any spares of those pieces of music get the same punishment. I have to keep running back and forth to refill her water bottle, but eventually they're all destroyed. It doesn't end there now. She keeps her violin in the instrument cage and the lock was long broken off, so it's simple to just take the violin from its case and snip off the strings with scissors. I say it's simple, but the strings were actually super tough to cut, and I had to eventually pull them apart. I also take the rolls of extra violin strings and put them in my own bag. Returning her violin to its case, I head toward the big daddy of music, the piano. Obviously, I can't give the piano the same treatment as the violin, so I do something arguably worse. In my school, we have a little bendy tool to remove the piano keys when they need replaced, so I removed them all and threw them in the outside garbage bin so nobody could retrieve them. Later that day, I heard that FB completely failed her exam because she physically couldn't do anything for it, and they couldn't reschedule until next year, in which she should have been taking her higher music exam. But that's not the cherry on the cake. Her parents had forced the school to bring in an agent from a music company, or was a manager for a label thing, I'm not sure, and she was supposed to perform for him. I feel not at all guilty. This girl ruined my social life and my mental state. Okay, being a musician myself, it drove me crazy that she destroyed the instruments. I do think this girl deserved everything that she got, but I don't understand how they failed her because instruments were destroyed. I mean, like, at my school, if something like that happened, they would have to figure out a way to give the girl a fair shot. I mean, like, what kind of school just says, oh, sorry, this was vandalized, you fail? It was really no fault of her own that the instruments were destroyed and she couldn't perform on anything. I'm sure she would if she had the opportunity. Not trying to be sympathetic with FB, but it's just, I don't really quite understand the school's perspective on that. Like, how can you fail someone when they didn't even have an opportunity to try? Anyway, let's move on to the next story. In an attempt to get even, I got my classmate almost murdered. So, this story happened back in 2011. I made a new account because I do occasionally post, and I don't want anyone from our local area to recognize me because this used to be the talk of the town, and I was one of the key players. This all happened in a small southern town of about 400 people. I know people will be able to ID me, but I'd rather not have the rest of my Reddit stuff well known. So I got sent to an alternative education, a place for troublemakers. And it was fine, minus the fact that all classes were entirely online. Legs get stiff, dead silence fills the air, only one break the entire day, minus bathroom breaks of course. Anyhow, there was this girl there who was busted for weed and was just a genuinely awful person. Threatened to fight people, bragged about fucking older men, and she made it her mission to give me and one other girl as much hell as possible. Days upon days she would come in and make remarks, tell the teacher when we were not doing our work, anytime we took like a 2-minute break, make fun of us to other students, etc. So, one day as we rode the bus to take us to the high school to get on the buses home, she tripped me as I got up. I hit the ground and she left, so I kicked her shin. Bad move as she is easily another weight class above me and I'm on the ground. She literally jumped on me and fucked me up pretty bad. Of course, she was the teacher's pet and I got the entire blame because she said it was an accident and I'm known to have anger issues. And I do, so I decided to get even. Now when I said the place had dead silence, I mean dead silence, aside from questions about the learning program we used and asking to use the bathroom. This girl, being the teacher's pet and attention seeker, was the only one allowed to talk, and she really talked a lot. Now, a couple weeks before the incident, I distinctly heard her brag about going on this man's property and stealing his marijuana plants, and vandalizing one of his buildings while taking photos of her crimes. This man, who is about 7 years older than us, is a really foul person. He's well known to murder stray animals and has 10 felonies, despite just now being in his 30s at the present. Recovering from my injuries received from the fight, I get my friend to talk to this girl and convince her to send him pictures, telling her it was funny, and she ate it up. So I went to this crazy guy's house and showed him the pictures from my phone, one of the original iPhones, and you could clearly see this girl's jacket she wore a lot and one of the plants in her house. I figured the guy would just report it somewhere or tell one of his drug buddies to cut her off or something in that nature. What I didn't know is that she stole over $300 worth of plants. I was not an expert on the value of drugs. So a few days go by and I go to the alternative ed building and the police are waiting for me. I start freaking out and they cuffed me and took me to the station. Turns out, the guy went to her house and confronted her. They got into an altercation and he stabbed her 17 times with a small pocket knife, twice in the stomach and 15 times in the back when she tried to escape. She almost died, but a neighbor alerted the police and he fled soon after she locked herself in a room. He got arrested and ratted me out, and my friend who had sent me the photos was also questioned because of my text messages. I got expelled and went to trial, but did not serve jail time. She got probation because of the drugs in her house, and he got sentenced to 15 years, but only served 3. I had debated on posting this story a few times, but honestly, I am so ashamed of my actions. I was a dumb kid and I did not think things through. I fucked up and almost got someone killed. She and I have never talked since, but we did see each other around town a few times before I went to college. Friend that sent me the photos ended up dating her, and though I never once asked any details, he told me that she still has nightmares and is a very different person. Crazy guy is still in town and is mostly avoided by people for obvious reasons. I think this is one of the only revenge stories that I have read and have not sided with the OP. I get that the OP was picked on by this girl, but even thinking about it for a second, you should realize that describing someone as a foul person who kills animals and then proceeding to rat on this girl's thievery to him isn't a good idea. The OP even says that she thought he would tell his friends to cut her off, implying that he at least has ties to drug dealers, if not being a drug dealer himself. And that should bring some red flags that, hey, maybe I shouldn't go tell a drug dealer that this person stole from him and vandalized his building. Even a sane person will be absolutely livid with the person who did this stuff, so someone who's also killing animals will be so much worse. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but damn, think about things. Okay guys, this is the end of the video. Sorry I didn't fit more stories into this video. I was in a bit of a hurry while recording this because due to some changes in my schedule, I have to finish this in between my bus runs. This has been r/NuclearRevenge. I hope you all enjoyed these two stories. Like always, if you have any stories you'd like to submit to me for videos, then you can either leave a comment below or email me at DylanDistortedSubmissions@gmail.com. If you need spelling or anything for those super complicated words, then the outro screen will also have the email. I have a Patreon if you'd like to support me in that way. It is patreon.com/DylanDistorted. As always, like the video if you like the video, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace out, Girl Scout.